This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries, the best name in the RV and marine industry. These lithium batteries are designed and assembled in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. The best solution for your battery anxiety, so go check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.
You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Hey everybody, what is the one frustration that is common among all RVers? You guessed it, it is staying connected while traveling. We often stay in places where Wi-Fi is non-existent and cellular service is weak. That is where a cellular booster comes in handy. Today we talk with Frankie, a vice president at SureCall. He is going to explain cellular boosters, including how they work, and the effect of different antennas inside and outside. If you're ready, let's find out more from Frankie.
Hi, Frankie. Thanks for coming on the show. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at SureCall?
Yeah, you bet, guys. Thanks for having me. So I'm the vice president here at SureCall. I'm responsible for all the sales of the company, and I'm based here in Atlanta, Georgia, and married with 3 wonderful daughters.
Now I know that we have cell boosters and different sorts of amplifiers, but I don't think either Kenny or I are aware of exactly how they work. Can you tell us how the SureCall system works?
Yeah, you bet. So basically, what they are is they're bidirectional amplifiers. So they're amplifying cell phone signals so you can stay connected inside of your RV. And how they work is there's an outside antenna that would go outside of the RV that captures a signal from the cell towers, sends it in through some coax cable into the amplifier itself that boosts the signal, the booster, and then it resends that signal back out through another antenna throughout the inside of the RV so that your phone can stay connected to the network. And it's compatible with all carriers. So no matter which carrier you're on, AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, it's going to boost signal for your device so you can stay connected while you're on the go.
I have the SureCall booster in my RV right now. That the other benefit of that, just not our phone calls, but it seems to be our data speeds increase. And I feel like the upload is boosted more than the download. So it does, for us, it's been great because it does so much more than just the phone calls. I guess that's part of the advantage of having a booster as well.
Yes, it is exactly right. The booster itself, signal and data speed is related to the strength of signal many times. So when you have a stronger signal, you can get better data rates, better LTE. So you can stream, you can watch YouTube, you can do everything else on your device that you would normally do when you have good, strong signal. And the booster itself also has what's called 2XP technology. There's actually 2 amplifiers there inside the board that help push that signal out to the tower so to keep you stay connected in the most rural of areas. And that really helps with the data as well, having that extra boost to stay connected to the tower so that data signal remains strong.
How long has SureCall been around making boosters? Is this what SureCall started with?
Yes, we did. So we started back in 2001. The company is based in California, and we started in the in-building side, doing big boosters for large commercial applications. And then as we've grown over the years, we've developed boosters that are designed for residential use, for the home use, as well as for mobile. So yeah, I've been with the company for 5 years and in the signal booster industry for 11. So been around seeing how the technology has changed and advanced has been really exciting and fun to be a part of.
Is it more challenging to develop something for a vehicle or a small home compared to the large buildings that you started with?
Not as much. They're fairly similar in some of their traits, the main difference being power and gain. I mean, if you think of the size of area that you would be covering inside of a vehicle or an RV compared to the size of area of a large building, a lot of the traits are the same. It's just you don't need as much power or gain when you're doing it in a small area such as an RV or a vehicle. So it's not any more difficult. It's just kind of turning down the volume a little bit, if you will, so to speak, since it's a smaller area.
Does the government limit you to how much you can boost the signal? Are you guys required to fall into requirements as far as signal strength or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the FCC sets the regulations of how powerful or how strong an amplifier can be when it's in mobile use. And basically, for a multi-user device, that's up to 50 dB worth of gain. And so that's what basically we push that limit with our Fusion to Go RV system to make sure that it can keep you connected and provide the largest coverage area there inside the vehicle. And there's a couple other parameters that they do as far as signal distortion and things like that. It has to be very clean signal. So yeah, so there's that. And so we were constantly working closely with our testing labs and the FCC, making sure we're putting out the most powerful boosters while staying within the FCC limits. And all of our boosters are FCC approved. And the Fusion to Go RV is assembled here in the USA.
So you guys do a lot of R&D, I would imagine.
We do. The owner of the company and the founder, he is an engineer, and his passion is creating the best performing products. So we use the best quality components from all around the world to make sure that we have the best and the most powerful products, because where RVers are going and where signal boosters are needed are usually at the fringes of the network. So you have to have pretty powerful devices to be able to make sure that signal can stay connected to towers that are miles and could be miles and miles away.
Why does the FCC limit the amount that you can boost the signal?
Typically, they want to make sure that the networks are protected, that you're not causing too much noise to the tower. And noise is just meaning unclean signal, right? And if that happens, then the tower itself can reduce its coverage area, limiting performance. So they make sure that there's a limitation on it so that it can just keep the networks clean. And all of our products meet those network protection standards. So our products will not cause any interference on any carrier's network.
Oh, okay. So they're protecting sort of the entire system from one person causing some sort of failure or disruption.
That's right. That's right. And really the way the boosters are built today with all the protections that are built inside, it's next to impossible to actually cause interference with the way the Fusion to Go 3.0 is built and the rest of the SureCall boosters.
Can you go into a little bit of detail of the difference between an RV unit and some of the other mobile units?
Sure. Yeah. So the RV unit, so it has the same powerful amplifier as like our regular in-vehicle that you would use for a truck or fleet vehicle. Some of the differences are you have an external antenna that's a permanently mountable and a little bit stronger. It's our white Omni antenna. It's about 12 inches long, and it's a little bit more powerful than the one that comes with your standard in-vehicle kit. On the inside, you have a couple different options of antennas. You have a whip antenna that would connect directly to the amplifier, something that you might think of that would looks like it's on a Wi-Fi router, just a little 6-inch stick antenna. And then it also has the other optional patch antenna that you can spread and stretch out throughout different parts of the RV and kind of take it with you a little bit more mobile, if you will. And then we also provide a couple different power supplies, your standard cigarette power lighter adapter, and then the also AC power adapter that's not included in the regular in-vehicle kits. So a little bit more to able to customize it for an RV.
Gotcha. So out of the box, if I was just to buy the RV model, out of the box, set up in my RV, what's the range within the RV that I could have my cell phone and realize the gain from the booster?
No, that's a good question. And just kind of going back to the previous question is how do the boosters work? The stronger the signal that's coming into the amplifier, the more signal, the more coverage that you'll have on the inside. So the range will vary based on that. But for the most part, with while you're traveling and while you're inside the RV, you should be able to get 12, 15 feet away from the actual antenna itself and still realize that you're able to stay connected to the network and continue on with voice calls uninterrupted and have that consistent streaming data service.
Yeah, I'm a good 15 feet actually from the antenna right now. I'm in my rear bedroom and we have the SureCall antenna up front. I didn't even know, Frankie, that there was a more portable, not portable, but I just have the whip system. So it's up front and I'm getting actually a really strong signal back here. And we're in an area that we don't have a signal. If I step outside of the RV, actually a couple weeks ago, Sean and I tried to do a podcast and my wife was sleeping during the day. So I went into their rec room where obviously I'm far from our system, and
Hmm.
I couldn't go on. I had to switch my hotspot. I had to switch to my phone. I was struggling to get a signal once I was outside of my RV.
Yeah, the whip antenna is pretty strong. It's recently been upgraded, so to make sure that it puts out the strongest amount of signal. And I mean, really, I prefer that one over the patch antenna, because the patch antenna it comes with cable. That's the benefit of it being portable, so you can kind of move it in a 10-foot radius. But there is a little bit of signal loss in that cable, as there is with all cable. So when you have the stick antenna connected directly to the amplifier itself, there is no loss. It's all gain and power.
I didn't think about the loss of I guess that's just kind of standard with anything. Once you add a little bit more cable to something, there's always a little bit of loss. Same thing with our solar panels and all that.
Right, exactly.
I installed the system myself. It was, I mean, fairly easy. I mounted it to my ladder rack, ran it across the roof, and then back into our RV. Is that standard? Most people install these themselves, or do you guys work with dealers or companies across the country for people that maybe are not comfortable in doing installs on their own?
So it like you mentioned, it is a pretty simple DIY application. Do it yourself. Just getting the cable inside the RV, and usually there's runs for that, and it can be done in under 30 minutes or so, depending on how in depth you have to go to do it. But yeah, so that is our best way, and what we try to focus on, and how we position the product. That it really is a good DIY product, and that doesn't really require too much of a professional installation. But there are dealers out there that would certainly help if you needed it.
Yeah, I would imagine almost anybody could do. If I can do it, this is what I always say anyway. If I can do it myself, just about anybody can do it themselves. It really is very straightforward.
Yeah. It really is. It really is. It's not too overwhelming. There's no programming of the device either.
Oh, that's a good
So
point.
it's just putting out cell phone signal. So your phone or your mobile device says, "Oh, I'm receiving signal, so I have a good signal. I can perform." So you don't have to program phone numbers into it. You don't have to do anything like that. Once it's powered on, it's going to amplify all those cell signals to any mobile device that's within range.
So what if I have, multiple questions here. Let's say I have a phone that works on, I have AT&T service, and then I also have Verizon service on another phone. Is there a possibility for the booster to boost one, but because it's boosting one, not boost the other signal as well?
Not necessarily. It'll boost all signals that are outside. If you think of it this way, that the booster itself is amplifying and boosting 5 lanes of traffic, and those 5 lanes are all your 5 major carriers. And they all have their own separate lane that they stay in. So if that signal is outside for that carrier, they're going to come in on that lane. So you can have simultaneous users using multiple devices on multiple different carriers networks. As long as there's some of that signal outside to bring in and boost, everybody can enjoy it at the same time.
And then I've always been told that if I am somewhere, like I was in nowhere, Texas one time, and my phone actually said no service on it. And I've always been told that if it says no service, there's no way that a booster is going to pick up any and boost any signal if your phone can't sense a signal. Is that the case or no?
That is the case. So if you think about it this way, no matter how powerful an amplifier is, 0 times 100 is 0. 0 times a million is still 0. But the good news is that's your phone inside of your car. That's typically inside of metal. You could have the metallic tint on your windows. Once you get that antenna outside the vehicle, and it's a stronger gain antenna, and with the extra power of the booster, in places where you think you don't have signal based on what you're seeing inside your car and the phone, you could have signal, because the amplifier is stronger and can reach towers that are further away than what your phone can do on its own inside the vehicle. So we have a lot of customers in nowhere, Texas, right? For that very reason, in the oil fields and in those places, and there are towers, but they're sparsely located. So I'd venture to say that there's a handful of places out there, maybe deep in the national forest, gorges, things like that. But in most places now, there's a smidge of signal outside. We're going to be able to bring it in and boost it so you can stay connected.
Okay, so just because my phone does say no service inside my RV, once I put a bigger, more powerful antenna outside, it may actually pick up a signal.
That's right. If you wanted to do another litmus test to see if there's enough signal, what we say is you go outside, stand on top of your RV, and try to make a phone call. If you can connect, then typically there's enough signal to bring inside and boost. If you can't connect at all and still saying no service, then that's where it still could be questionable. It could be questionable whether it would work or not. But that's one of the good things about SureCall is that we do offer the 30 and 60-day money back guarantee through our value added reseller. So no harm, no foul if you get it. But what we see is an extremely low return rate because most places do have enough signal to bring in and boost and have a quality user experience.
Yeah, I know Sabrina and I have been to campgrounds before we had the SureCall booster and we had no signal. We weren't able to do anything. And then after returning to these locations with the SureCall booster, we then had a signal. We were able to make phone calls, do a little basic of internet and stuff like that. But before we were like completely dead in the water, we would be walking around the campground with our cell phone trying to make a phone call, and it was just dead everywhere. Sometimes you just hit those areas that they just really poor coverage. So the SureCall for us has been a complete game changer. We really rely on internet connection and being able to make phone calls for work. So it's been great.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, you can even, in some of those areas too, you could even upgrade that external antenna to a directional antenna. Like this is when you're stationary, maybe at the campground, and put it on a telescoping pole and kind of lift that pole higher in the air, aim it at the tower, and you can get a larger coverage area and stay connected even further away, even in weaker signal environments. So you've got some upgrade options there too for the weakest of signal areas.
And you guys make those antennas as well, those directional?
We do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, was not aware of them. I wasn't even aware of a directional antenna for them.
Yeah, well, it's only for when it's stationary because you wouldn't really, while you're driving on the road, you wouldn't really have making turns and things like that. So you want the Omni, but yeah, so it's a good add-on.
Does the system work? I guess it would, but just to make sure, does the system work in Canada as well? I mean, is there any difference once you're crossing the border?
There's really no difference. Just the names of the carriers, right? They're all using just about the same frequencies that we use down here. So again, the amplifier and the antenna are just picking up those same frequencies and boosting it to the devices. So yeah, Bell, Telus, Rogers, compatible with all of them.
Okay.
Now, one thing that we hear about a lot in the news now is 5G. And to me, it's just a number. I don't really understand the difference between 3G, 4G, and 5G. But according to the news, it's going to change the world as far as internet and cellular and all that stuff goes. Is there going to be some, let's say I got a SureCall booster today, when 5G comes in, will I have to upgrade or change or do anything different?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. You're right. 5G has been thrown at us here for the last year or two, and it is coming. It's not quite here yet, but there are some very significant challenges with 5G. With 5G, just to get a little technical for a second, most of the signals operate in a much higher frequency than where we operate today in the cellular frequencies that we've talked about during this call. What that means is those signals do not penetrate for anything. So you're going to need far more signal sources, towers, so to speak. They won't look like your macro cell tower, but that are going to have to go up to be able to provide consistent 5G coverage. So what that means is it's really starting in the urban areas, the most densely populated areas. So where RVers like to travel, it's not going to be in those areas for many years to come. The good news is the LTE and the voice signals that we operate on today, they're not going anywhere. When we start upgrading to our new phones over the next year or two, and they're going to be 5G phones, our boosters will still be compatible with voice and LTE data. The boosters today have a very long shelf life. Then in years and years to come, when the higher frequencies really get propagated and rolled out to the larger masses in the suburbs and the rural areas, if ever, we'll have devices at that time to meet that demand. but we foresee that being years away for where it to be having real use case and a need for in the suburbs and rural areas.
Yeah, because if you read the news or watch the news today, it seems like we're all going to wake up in a couple weeks and 5G is going to be everywhere, but apparently that's not really the case.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's an infrastructure challenge that the carriers have to overcome before really see changes. And there's multiple channels or market segments that it really services than today, right? It's really more going to look at almost like Wi-Fi, with replacing Wi-Fi in your home with 5G for all the connected devices and things like that. The automated cars that are self-driving cars that will be transmitting terabytes a day of data per day. So there needs to be a whole lot more spectrum opened up to allow all this extra data to be flowing, because right now there's just not enough spectrum in where we communicate today. There are some challenges, but it is coming. But years down the road, and the SureCall devices and boosters that are being sold today will work for your 5G phones for years to come.
I guess we'll see an increase in our phone bill before we actually see 5G then, so they can put in all the infrastructure.
That's right. There's always money behind it when they've talked about it for this long. They got to monetize it.
Yeah.
I would like them to finish building the 4G towers and get more coverage before they move on to the 5G personally, but
wouldn't that make sense? I mean, we're talking about boosters today for RVers that can't get 4G LTE signal in the campground, so let alone 5G. I mean, that's why it's just so many years away, and it's just you have to cut through the noise to find out what's the real story and when would it really have an impact.
On your website, it says that the boosters are able to extend your battery life of devices. Why is that? I was going to speculate, but I'd rather just hear the right answer.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And basically, your phone, when it's just in regular standby mode or even operating mode, if the signal is weak, it's programmed to say, "Oh, I need to push out maximum power to make sure I can stay connected to the network." So just like anything else, you have something going full bore, turned up full blast, it's going to drain that battery much faster. When it has adequate signal, it turns itself down. It says, I don't need to transmit that at that much power because I have good signal. There's a tower nearby. So with the booster, since it's providing better signal to the device, your phone doesn't have to be operating at full blast. So it'll extend your battery life for all the devices within reach.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense, actually, though. And I guess the phone is smarter than I thought. I know we call them smartphones, but I didn't realize that they were actually constantly adjusting the strength and the power depending on the signal and making it stronger and weaker. That's pretty cool information.
Yeah, they are really smart devices when you really dig into them. They have a lot of computing power, but I think they say the iPhone now has more computing power than the National Defense System back in the 60s. I mean, it's crazy how much power we think we're carrying around in our pockets these days.
Yeah.
With the SureCall Fusion to Go RV, if I'm driving and I want to boost, so I buy the standard package off of your website, and I'm assuming that comes with the internal antenna and then the external whip antenna like Kenny has. Is that right?
That's right.
I get that for when I'm moving. And then if I'm going to be parked somewhere, like Kenny and I are both somewhere for a couple months, we could get a directional antenna on and get a telescoping pole or some way to extend it up above the top of our RV. And that will actually give us a better boost of signal because we can face it directly the direction of that tower. And then inside there's the standard antenna that it comes with, and there's also another type of antenna that allows you to get a little more coverage within the RV. Is the recommendation to start out with a standard package and then see what, if any, improvements you can make with the add-ons?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's always been our recommendation. Start with the basic package. Start with what comes in the kit, because again, in most cases, that solves it. That does the trick. So no reason to spend the extra money or go the extra mile with the additional gear, unless you're in an area that's so weak that you can only get a foot away from the booster before the signal drops out, that's when you look at upgrading the external antenna to provide a bigger and stronger signal.
Okay. Yeah, I know Kenny's been very happy with his so far, and we do lots of phone calls, and he always seems to have better signal than me, actually. So
I have the basic Fusion to go. Yep, I have the antenna that it came with on the outside and the same whip antenna on the inside. It really has been fantastic. I always feel bad because I don't actually talk you guys up as much as I really should, because it has made such a difference after purchasing it for Sabrina and I when we're traveling. It really is like a night and day difference, or a complete game changer in the way that we're able to travel and not worry about losing a signal, even in motion. Sabrina does a lot of work on the computer while we're driving, and she's connected to the SureCall while we're in motion, and she gets to keep that signal and be able to stream video and everything while we're moving along. It's been awesome.
Yeah, no, that's another great point. If you're tethered to a hotspot, it actually helps that signal as well, because those hotspots are reliant on cell signal to be able to create that Wi-Fi signal inside the vehicle to connect to laptops and things like that. So yeah, it's a multifunctional, multi-benefit device. So voice, text, LTE data, and hotspot compatibility.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the hotspot, because I forgot kind of about the hotspot. But yeah, we're always running through our hotspot for our computers, and of course Netflix and Hulu and now
Right.
Disney Plus and all that. Yeah, it's great to be able to stream movies and true HD and everything, whereas before we couldn't.
Yeah, no, it's a real great benefit.
yeah, and we all know that campgrounds don't always provide the best Wi-Fi. So having the ability to boost your cell signal is really important when you're an RVer.
You guys probably experience it. You're sitting there on Wi-Fi. You're trying to stream something. You're trying to navigate through the web, and it's just, you got that buffering spinning wheel.
Mhm.
As soon as you turn off Wi-Fi, flip over to LTE, things happen, right? Things start moving. So
Yeah, it's a big
yeah,
difference. The campgrounds are kind of funny because I'm sure they could, like this campground that we're at right now does something very strange. It even says it in their paperwork that we do have Wi-Fi, but you are purposely restricted to 5 download speed and a 1 upload speed. I'm like, that's an odd thing to say. I'm surprised they even tell you that. And I guess they're restricting it so that everybody's able to use it at the same level. I guess I'm not really sure why they said they're purposely throttling it to those speeds.
yeah, that's exactly right. It's for capacity. So 100 people can use it a little bit, compared to 5 people having a great experience and 95 people not. Right. That's probably a little extreme, but that's the idea. The pipe where all the data traffic is going through is only so large, much smaller than what you would have on a cell tower. So they try to limit the number of users or speed to give everybody more usage time, or more use.
I guess that would be the same with a cell signal. Like if you have, like, let's say you're at a big, let's say the Winnebago rally, where there's how many hundreds of RVs there, Kenny? And you guys are all
1,000.
Yeah, you guys are all competing probably for use of the same tower, because there's probably not a huge amount of infrastructure in Forest City, Iowa. So you guys are all competing to use the same tower. Would a booster help you sort of get to the front of the line?
It could in some cases, because you are putting out a stronger signal that's going back to the tower. So it could certainly help you stay more connected in those cases. And the towers themselves are very smart as well. They know when capacity is, there's a lot of traffic on one of the frequencies, so they'll offload it to another frequency that has more capacity, all that are compatible with the frequencies that the booster is boosting. So no problem to you whatsoever. But yeah, they've addressed a lot of those capacity issues on towers. So you shouldn't experience that as much anymore, since they're able to spread over the traffic evenly throughout the bands.
Now, how can people find out if they wanted to find out more about SureCall and your product, or even look at some of your products?
Coming to our website, surecall.com, SureCall, and you can browse the where to buy page. Well, we sell exclusively through our resellers, Amazon, Best Buy, and some value add resellers as well throughout the country. And then we have plenty of information on the products there on the site. So you can look at all the specifications, setup diagrams, illustrations, videos, anything you would need, use cases, case studies, anything you need to make yourself a little bit more comfortable on selecting which product is right for you. And of course, we have a technical support and sales service line as well to answer any questions at any time.
I have a marketing question for you also, Frankie, because we have consumers that listen to the show as well as people in the industry. What marketing platforms have you guys used? And do you notice one working better than the other? Do you guys use social media at all or anything like that?
We do. We use a variety of social media. We use Google, Amazon, and specific market trade publications. Obviously, these days, if you think of the internet, when the majority of searches begin on one of two places, Google and Amazon, right? So that's a big focus of ours, of course. And then also with the social media, trying to engage with our customers with Facebook, and that's been a pretty good success in being able to hear from customers and answer their questions that way, because people these days are, not everybody's calling the 1-800 number. They're to engage with a company. They are reaching out on social media. They are doing different things or wanting to be able to text or chat on the website. So we certainly use a variety of vehicles to make sure we're reaching out to our customers and engaging with them and educating them that this does exist, right? That they don't have to suffer with a poor signal. There is a solution.
So before we let you go, is there anything that we missed, or is there anything you would like to add?
No, I think we just about covered everything. Just want to, ensure you all and your subscribers that SureCall is here. We have purpose-built products to help people stay connected. And if there's ever any questions or people need help, certainly come to the website, give us a call, or engage with us on social media. We'd love to hear from you.
Well, thanks a lot, Frankie, for coming on. This has been very educational. I know that a cell booster did something, but I wasn't exactly sure how it did it. So glad you came on and told us about the SureCall product.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
We want to thank Frankie for coming on the show and chatting with us not only about the history of SureCall, but also taking the time to educate us on how their systems work. If you are currently RVing and needing to boost your cell strength, then you will want to check out SureCall's Fusion to Go RV 3.0 system. If you enjoyed this episode, we would appreciate it if you could leave a review on your favorite listening platform. Take care, everyone. We wish you safe travels. Sean and I will be back in 2 weeks chatting about the benefits of adding solar to our RVs. This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries, the best name in the RV and marine industry. These lithium batteries are designed and assembled in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. The best solution for your battery anxiety. So go check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.